Welcome to this course on mastering video editing with Shotcut, a powerful and versatile open source video editing software. Whether you are a beginner looking to dive into the world of video editing or an experienced user seeking to enhance your skills, this course is designed to cater to all levels. In this course, we will embark on a journey through the intricacies of Shotcut. We'll explore its features and functionalities to help you create captivating and professional-looking videos. We'll start from the very basics of downloading and installing Shotcut to advanced techniques like adding effects, animations, and keyframes. By the end of this course, you will not only have a solid understanding of Shotcut's features, but you will also have the skills to confidently edit and produce high-quality videos. The basic requirements for this course include access to a computer, internet connection, basic computer skills, and your willingness to learn something. So let's embark on this exciting journey together. Let the creativity flow and the editing mastery begin. So thank you very much for joining me in this course, and I look forward to seeing you in the classroom. So the first reason is it's open source, okay, which means it is free, completely free to use, and its source code is open to the public. This means that users can access, modify, and distribute the software free of charge. So this makes it accessible and easy to download and install freely on your system. So for creators who are strictly on budget, this is a good software to give a try. The second reason is cross-compatibility, cross-platform compatibility, which means it is available for Windows operating system, Mac operating system, and even Linux operating system. This makes it a versatile choice for users with different types of operating system. You can download and install it on all of these different OS. And then the next one, we have intuitive user interface, which means Shotcut features a user-friendly interface that is easy to navigate, making it accessible for both beginners and more experienced video editors. And then we have advanced editing. Shotcut includes advanced editing features such as multi-format timeline, 4K resolution support, and a wide range of video and audio filters. You can find a lot of them in Shotcut. And then we talk about format support. It supports a variety of video, audio, and image formats, ensuring flexibility when working with different types of media files. The Shotcut is actively maintained and updated by its developers, ensuring that users have access to bug fixes and improvements and even new features. They keep on bringing out new features and they keep updating the software. So it's really up to date. Once you open, you can find the most updated version of the software on the homepage of the platform, regardless of the operating system you're working with. And then we have no watermark. No watermark or time limitations. Some free video editing software usually include watermarks on exported videos or impose some time limitations on project length. Okay, so you cannot edit videos for this much length, or this, you're going to have watermark at the end of the exported video. But this free software doesn't have that watermark, and it doesn't come with limitations in the timing. Shotcut does not have all of these restrictions. And then we have community support. Shotcut, being an open source project, it has an active community of users who share tips and tricks and tutorials, providing support through forums and other online channels. You can find this very easy within the community. They have an excellent community. And then we talk about keyframes. Okay, keyframe animation and other features are very much applied. This is a feature that you can find in creating dynamic and visually appealing content. You can find a lot of keyframe features within Shotcut. Next, we have customizable interface. Okay, users can customize the interface to suit their preferences, allowing you to personalize the editing experience. You can rearrange things, you can rearrange the looks of the interface to suit your own liking. And lastly, we have the hardware support, which means it utilizes hardware-accelerated encoding and decoding, and which can improve the performance of video editing tasks. So to start with, all you need is just to come to your browser, open anywhere. You can come to the search bar and just search for Google, and it will just bring you over here. You can just go ahead and search for Shotcut, spelled just like so, and just hit on enter. You can see it over here. Shotcut is a free open source cross-platform video editor for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So you can see it over here. Alternatively, you can just go to shotcut.org. Okay, So you can just click and it's going to bring you over to the home page of Shotcut. Now you have a bunch of options over here. The first one is you can click on this to download, and it's going to give you the version of your operating system. It's going to automatically detect what kind of operating system you're working with, and it's going to give you that version, so you can just go ahead and download it. So my own case, like I said, again, I'm using Mac operating system, so we are going to have the Mac version. You're free to explore other features of Shotcut. Okay, what are some of the features? You could come over here and you see some of the latest features as regards Shotcut. Okay, what are some of the advantages maybe ahead of what we have talked about, like the 4K resolution effect and the audio features you could just check out, and video effects that they've added. So you always find the latest information on this very page. So to download, you can still go back to the home page by clicking here, and you see click to download. You can just click and you can just go ahead and download. This is the latest version for Mac operating system. Okay, this 64-bit Mac OS 10.14 at the time of making this recording. You always see the recent post over here. If there's any update or any new version, you always find it here. So you can just click on this and you just go ahead and download and install it. It's very easy and it's step-by-step to install regardless of the operating system you are working with. So I will just allow you to download and install on your system. Okay, so to open and create a project, all you need is just to come down to the launch pad over here. You see the launch pad here, and you can just search for Shotcut. You can see with letter S, you can see it over here, Shotcut. So you just click and it's going to open Shotcut for the first time for you. Now once it opens Shotcut, this is the platform that you'll be welcomed with. The first thing you need to notice is that this is where we're going to concentrate on creating a new project. And you can find all the recent projects that you've worked on. You can find them over here. So like this one, this is my latest work on Shotcut. You can click on it to continue editing your work, okay? Or you can continue with the editing or the work you're doing. Alternatively, you could start by creating a new project, but the first thing you need to do is to define the project folder. Where do you want it to be saved? You can click over here and you can navigate within your system, define the exact path where you want to be saving your work, and you can just go ahead and say open this, and it's going to save the work in that directory that you've specified. Now the next thing is to give the project a name. So for example, let's say we give this one sample editing, and we'll call this project sample editing. That's the name, and then we can specify the video mode. You can click over here, you can see a number of video modes depending on your choice. You can go ahead and specify from the template, from the existing ones. I usually go for HD 1080p 30 frame rate per second, which is the normal one for YouTube. For all courses that I create, this is very fantastic for it. And you can go on your own, you can search for Ultra HD up to 4K, you can do as you so wish. And then you can do custom one from here, and you can add your own design or your own specifications as regards the video mode. But for this tutorial, at this moment, we'll go with 1080p HD and 30 frame rate per second. So we're done with everything, and we can just come over here and click on start. So this brings us to a brand new Shotcut page, okay, where we will start our work. But just for the record of it, if at any given point, at any time, you decided that there are some things you need to reset, or there are some features you need to set on, if you forgot something or you want to reset everything, you can just come over to the top here and you can come to Shotcut. You can see preferences. You can click on preferences, and over here you have the option to change many things like the GPU effects, the video mode that was just affected or just changed. You'll be able to access and change another one or change it to another thing from here. And then you can change the audio channel and maybe preview scaling, proxy, playlist, and timeline effects. You can enable or disable other features from here. There are a lot of other features that are not toggled on. You can toggle them on to have them enabled within the timeline. And the language, you can change the language of the whole editing software. And you can change the theme also. Right now is Fusion Dark. If you want it to be system, you can just click and everything is going to change to the system. Yes, I want it to be changed. So it has to restart the project and then you kickstart from there. All right. So let's say Shotcut and we'll go back to the same project. All right. So you can see everything has now been changed to the system, which is a light one. I think I kind of like it, this format. And we can just go ahead and click on the project that we've started to open the existing project. So this is the project. So in a nutshell, you could change a lot from the preferences over here. You can change a lot from the job priority to app data to audio video device, and you can reset everything at any given point that you may want to reset. If you want to reset, you can go ahead and reset. What are some of the features and what are some of the different kind of features we have, and what are their various functions? So for example, you can see that the first thing you see to the left here is called the playlist. Okay, this is where you dump all your media, be it a video, an audio, or an image. You dump them over here. So you have 2 different ways or 3 different ways to add media into this playlist. You can add a folder directly, you can add a file, or you can open an existing document or a media. You can just import directly, or you can drag and drop directly. So the next thing is we have this preview canvas. This is what you preview all your media that you have in the playlist and the ones you have in the timeline. So you preview them over here. You have a lot of buttons over here, from the play button to the move to the faster, move forward quicker, and then play backward quicker, and then skip to the previous point, and then skip to the next point. These are various controls that you have. Over here you have other features like the toggle zoom. You can change the zooming and out. You can zoom to fit. You can change the zooming from 50 to 100 to 500 as you so wish. You can customize to your liking, and then you can insert grids from here, 2x2 grid, 3x3 grids as you so wish. I'll show you how to use grids to at least make sure that your videos are centralized. And then over here you have other controls, which when we start you will be able to see what we are talking about. So this is the project preview panel. And then over here you have the recent, which showcases the recent activities that you've carried out within Shotcut. You have 3 tabs. You have the history tab, which showcases exactly what are the history you've done in terms of the editing, what are the steps you took, and then you can move forward or backward as regards this step. You can undo things directly. And then you have jobs, available jobs that you have, maybe queuing or thereabout. Take a look at this in detail. Then down here you have the timeline. Okay, the timeline is where all of the editing takes place. Okay, there are a number of features where we explain each and every one of them as we move on into the tutorial. And then over here you have 2 types. You have the keyframes with its own other features as well. We'll learn how to use them as well in detail when we start editing. And then so the most detailed or the most default stage is to stay at the timeline, having some of these features to keep editing. And then we have other controls over here, like the appending of the media into the timeline. You can use them with this plus sign, or removing or cutting a media, or you can add a media directly with this plus sign, and so on. And you can change the view of the media within the particular timeline using these features. You can use the grid view, the list view, and so on. We'll show in detail how to use that. Apart from the playlist, we have the filters. We can click to have access to the filters and the properties of each media that you're working with. You'll be able to have their properties over here. All right. And then we have other features up here, like the saving. You can always save your work so you don't miss anything. You can undo or redo things directly. You can enable this peak meter if you want, and you see it over here, and you can disable it if you don't want at any given point. Be able to visualize the properties is the same properties like this one. And then we have recents and notes if you have, playlists and timeline. If you want to enable or disable, you can do that from here. We have filters like we've explained. We have markers and keyframes, which we are going to talk about in detail, how to add markers to at least showcase areas that needs improvement. Maybe you need to add some description. We're going to go in details about this. And then the history is the same history that we have here. And then we have export button, where you can export your job or export your videos at the end of the editing. Okay. So then we have the jobs, just like the way you have here. So all the queues that you have, you'll be able to see them and you can export directly. Then we have 3 or 4, we have about 6 different layouts within Shotcut. You can change between the layout if you so wish, but the default is the editing layout, this one. This is what gives us this view. If you want to change it to the login layout, you can just click on login and you see everything, the view of the interface has changed completely. And if you want to go with the effect layout, you can just click and everything changes to the effect layout. And then if you want to go with the color layout, also you can see having the color editing features at the right, you'll be able to see the entire interface has changed a little bit because of the change in the layout that we've selected. And then we have audio layout, where you have all of the controls of the audio controls that we have within Shotcut. You have them enabled over here. And then we have the player layout, if you want to have the player layout, this is mostly for previewing of the video. You can just quickly switch and you'll be able to see the full view of your video at any given point, and you have all of these controls to play around with. So at any given point, you can come back to the editing process and you continue. And the one thing I need to pay attention to is all of these things are interchangeable. You can click and you'll be able to move some of these features across, and you can change their positions as you so wish. You just this drag and drop, you can be able to position them anywhere of your choice, and you can bring them back and dock them over here if you want. You can see everything has changed. If you want, you don't want it to be here, you can want it to stay like this as we have before with the listings of playlists, filters, and properties. You can all move them across as you so wish. So you can rearrange the movement however you want it, and you can always reset by coming to Shotcut Preferences, and you can come to reset, and it's going to reset everything for you. So to import the media, there are 2 or 3 methods. The first one, you can just come to the open file over here. You can just open file and you can navigate to wherever you have. In my own case, I have it in desktop, Shotcut tutorial over here, and you have it in these media files. So they are categorized as images and videos. So let's start with the videos. You can select everything. All right. You can select everything with the shift key. You can select all and just click on open to open everything in the media bin. And you can see they've all been imported into the media bin or the playlist in this case. Okay. So again, we can still bring in the same media. Let's pause on this. You can bring in the same media using the drag and drop. So you can just go over to the file that you have. All right. So let's say we have media here. So we have these images. Okay. So we can just size this and just select everything, and we could just drag and drop them into the playlist just like so, and you have them still imported into the media. Okay. Alternatively, you can still drag and drop into the timeline. Okay, if you're interested, you can just drag and drop into the timeline just like so. You can just drag and drop it, and it will be dropped in the timeline just like so. All right. So let me undo this, but then this is how to drag and drop media into the playlist. Now the next thing is we can double click on any media to be able to have a preview of it in this preview panel. Okay, this preview canvas. So you'll be able to see a preview of what type of media you have, and you can play, you can pause it as you so wish. Okay, you can play and you'll be able to see the preview of what you have over here. So this is for the media. You can move them across, you can interchange their position. All you need is just to drag and drop them across. You can reposition them however you want it within here. And then down here, you have the option to change the looks of the media. Right now, it is in this thumbnail view. You can see them and you'll be able to see the preview of what you have. You can change the view from here by making it into a list view, but this with this much thumbnail. So you'll be able to see the name and the duration of all the media, maybe some of its properties over here. And then you have the option to change it to this view also, so you'll be able to see the name and the other properties of the clip. You can drag and you'll be able to see the duration, the date it's been modified or it's been imported. So all these are possible when you change the views. But for my own case, I always prefer to have it in this icon view, which is a thumbnail view, which you can just double click at any given point to be able to have a preview of what you have in that particular media. Now the next thing is we can learn how to import the media into the timeline. So to import media into the timeline, there are 2 ways which I import media to the timeline. The first is I drag and drop like I have shown earlier from the file into the timeline directly. Or the second is you can just double click on any video. For example, this one, you could double click on it and you can see the preview. There are 2 ways to import in this case. You can just use the playhead over here to navigate to any point that you want. Okay, the point when they start entering this C, you can hit on letter I to mark as the in point, and then you can move the playhead. And then you can select and move the playhead. Okay, and then you hit on the space bar to play to this point when they start moving inside the C, and you can pause it here and say maybe at this point you want to create an out point. You hit on the letter O on your keyboard, and that's an out point. So when you drag and drop these into the timeline, it's only dragging and dropping the section that you've defined as in point and out point. That's the beauty of it. And then you can select over here, you can use this timeline and you can navigate across and you'll be able to see the preview of what is happening here. You can use the playhead. You can use the spacebar to play across also, so you'll be able to have a preview of what you have. So that's the one method of importing the media. The second method is you can just drag and drop. So you can just select from here. If you want to import everything into the timeline, you can just drag and drop, and you can see it now imported the whole video length into this timeline. Okay, so you can see we have this space left, so you can just drag and connect. Okay, so we have this snap tool. Okay, it's always important to have it turned on because it enables you to snap between edges of clips. This one, okay, if you have it snapped, it becomes easy, but right now it's not clicked, it's not selected, so you can see it becomes difficult for us to align this clip together. Okay, so it sometimes might enter the other clip, or sometimes it might leave a space in between. But if you want to have it snapped directly and with precision, you have to on this magnetic tool, so it just easily snaps. You can see very perfect, it just snaps into the video just like that. So this is the second way to drag and drop, and over here you can define the areas that you want to maybe adjust, maybe edit, and so on. So another way to import a media is you can just go ahead from the previous or from recent media that you've imported. You can easily check out, maybe you're working on a particular project and these are the recent medias you've accessed from this same shortcut. You can just drag and drop the video also from here, and you can move it into the playlist very easily, and you see it's been added into your playlist. Okay, so over here you have much other controls, like you can change the view options. You can zoom in, so you'll be able to see the details of everything, and you can zoom out if you are interested. You can zoom out, or you can zoom in, or you can go ahead and zoom to fit, so everything now fits into the timeline, so you'll be able to see everything clearly. And down here you can select a clip and you right click and have most of these properties, which we'll explain as we go into the basic editings of clips. And then you have over here some basic controls, like this is the V1, this is video track 1. You can rename it if you're interested. You can just double click and you'll be able to rename it if you're interested. So you can right click and you can just rename it directly. You can call it maybe main clip. Okay, so you can call it main clip, or if you have any other name, you can name it just like that. And you have the option to disable a particular clip to show or unshow, and then you can mute or unmute the audio within this particular clip, as well as you can lock this for changes. If you lock this, it means no further change can occur on this clip that you've locked. Until you unlock it, then it is going to be unlocked. If you want to add another track, right click and you can insert a track directly, and you can add markers and so on. So much controls over here to do, which we are going to talk about as we move in the use of Shotcut. Now to do basic editing, for example, now that we've inserted our clips, we have 2 clips in here. We can use the spacebar to play around, so we can be able to see the preview over here. There may be some points when we don't want to have some sections within the video, and we can easily edit that, and it can happen to you during your editings as well. And there are 2 ways to create cuts and maybe make some edits. The first one is the splitting. Okay, splitting, you can do it with the shortcut S, or you can come over here. You can use this feature, this split at playhead. So this is the playhead. So at anywhere you move the playhead and you come over here and hit on this split, is going to split your clip into 2 clips. Okay, so you can see right now this clip 1, this is clip 2. It's been splitted. Alternatively, you can use the letter S to create that same split. So letter S on your keyboard can create the same split, and you can see right now this one also had been splitted along the playhead. So another way is you may want to delete. Okay, let's undo this. And you may want, at this point, you don't want the remaining section from here to this point, so you can use on letter S to create the delete, and you can select this point, and on your own manually from the keyboard you can press on delete to delete that section. Alternatively, let me undo this and let me undo the split as well. You can come to the edges over here, and until your cursor turns into this horizontal sign, you can easily drag to trim. Okay, you can trim from the edge until you meet the playhead, just like so, and it snaps. So that's one way. And one good thing with the trimming section is that it is reversible at any given point. If you want to reverse it, you can just come over there until your cursor turns into this horizontal sign, and you can drag back. All right, you can see right now it is bringing back the section that we have trimmed earlier on. So you can do that across the clip from the left or from the right. Like here, you can come over here in between these clips until your cursor turns into this and you have this green line. You can just easily drag and you could trim across just like so. Even though it leaves this blank space, you can right click over there and you do ripple delete. It's going to delete this section, close the gap in between the clips. So you can do that just like by doing that, and you can see it has deleted that section and closed the gaps in between the clips. Alternatively, you can use the shortcut X. Okay, you can select that place and you use the shortcut X, and it's going to delete that section and cover the gaps in between the clips as well. So you can do that also when you create a clip, like when you create another split here. You want to ripple delete this section, you can use the letter S and it's going to delete that section and cover the axis. Okay, so you can use letter X to do the ripple delete and it delete that section and it covers the gap in between. So you're free to explore any action. Okay, at any given point you may decide to move your playhead and you can create that same split. Now assuming we have another clip, okay, something like this one, we can just drag and drop it here. Okay, you can drag and hit it on. Like I said earlier on, we have to have this snapping tool enabled if you want to have precisely hit on the axis. Okay, if you want to snap exactly at the edges of the clips, you have to have it enabled. If it is not enabled, it's going to be difficult for you to get the precise point to join in between clips. Okay, but when you have it enabled, you can see it just snaps at the end of the clips. So again, you may be able to shift or move the clips across. You can drag and you can move the clips across if you are interested. But this is a feature that you will enjoy most if you enable this feature, this same one. It's called ripple. Ripple is very important. Let's undo the action that we've just made. And assuming I want to move this into this at this point, once I drag and move it here, it's going to override everything that I have as a clip. But when I undo this and I enable the ripple feature over here, when I drag this to the end, it's going to shift the remaining two clips to the right and then this one positioned to the left, just like so. You can see it has shifted my two clips to the right and it is positioned this one at the beginning. All right, so you can see now you can do quite a number of things. For example, this feature, this one, we call it scrub while dragging. It's very important when you enable it. When you are dragging a clip, it's going to drag along with the playhead and you'll be able to see the preview of what you are dragging across. Okay, as you move, it's going to move again together with the playhead. But when you disable this, it's not going to move with the playhead. The playhead remains at that position where it is and it's now moved freely on its own. And then you have these ripple markers. Okay, sometimes you may want to add markers to enable you to define or to be precise on the edits that you are making in the particular clip. So if you want to add a marker, for example, at this point, you can just hit on this marker sign and it's going to add a marker to that point. You can see it added this red marker. If you want, you can right click and you can edit the marker properties. You can make it, maybe add a color, for example, at that point. And you can say okay, and whenever you hover over this, you see the action that you're supposed to do, add a color. And you can add multiple markers from here as well. You can still add the same marker, but then you can right click and say edit or choose a color. For example, you don't want this to be this color, you want it to be a blue color, or this color. You can just select and you can say okay to this, and you can see it's just changed the color of the marker. So it's very easy to move markers around as well if you want to move them for ease of editing. And then another feature that I always want to show you is that you can copy a particular clip and move it to somewhere. You can copy it and paste it. You can copy, paste it, and you can duplicate a particular clip using these features. And one more important one is that, like this clip, it contains video and audio. You can right click and you can separate or detach the audio section, and you can see it just detached the audio section. Now we have an audio clip, which is A1 over here. You can unmute it and you can lock it against any editing. Now there's a way we can add features, like when you are editing a particular video clip, you may want at some point to play around with the sizing, rotation, and position, and so on. In Shotcut, the control is different. So you have to add what we call the filters. You can come to filters over here. Either you come to filters directly or you can come to filters from here. And you can come all the way to this plus sign. These are favorite filters that we have favorited. Okay, so you'll be able to see them over here. But if it is a video property, you can come to video and you'll be able to see all the properties over here. So depending, if you like a particular property, you can mark it as star and you'll be able to find it in the favorite section over here. Or if it is an audio property, you can see different kind of audio properties that you can easily select. So for this case, let's say we are doing a video property, you can select a video, and let's say we are doing transform that has to do with size, position, and rotate. Once you click on this, it's going to give you the option to play around with the position. Like you can use the presets. If you're interested, you can check from the presets how you want your videos to move in, or some presets you can add some as a preset, and you can come over here, play around with the position. You can see you can just play around with it along the x-axis and along the y-axis. You can play around and change the position as well, and at any given point you come over here and reset it back to default. You can change the size. Okay, you can increase the size or decrease the size accordingly from here. This is in the X and the Y direction, and you can zoom in to any feature. Zoom in, for you to see clearly, we have to move our playhead to this point because we're dealing with this clip. So you can see now, for you to, you can zoom out, okay, or zoom in. If you're interested in zooming into a particular point, you can zoom in. You can undo this. You can play around with the sizing as well. You can increase or decrease the sizing just like so in the both X and Y axis if you are interested, and the position as well, you can play around with it. Now over here you have the option to set the size mode. Is it the fit, left, top, bottom, or thereabout? You can select across, and you can change the rotation also from here. You can see you can now very easily rotate your footage directly on the preview canvas. You'll be able to change the footage, and you can load keyframes for motion tracker if you're interested, and you can change the background coloration if you are interested in using background and changing its color. So you can easily change the color from here, or you can use this color picker. Now in some cases, which we are going to cover in the subsequent classes, we're going to learn how to add keyframes to our video footage. Maybe you want to keyframe some section and maybe make it zoom in and zoom out to showcase a particular point within our tutorial or thereabout. You can keyframe, position, size, and even rotation or thereabout. You can be able to set them across. So you can undo or reset everything from here with all these reset button, and everything is now reset back. Okay, so you could do that on the audio. So this is position, size, and rotate. You can do that on the video, and on the audio you can use the volume level. Okay, you can play around with volume level. So you can come over here, you can search. For example, you can come here and you can say volume. So you can use this gain and volume, and when you select on it, you can see from here you can lower the volume and you can increase the volume directly. So when you make it to be too high, you can see it from here, the audio meter it's showing, and it's going to peak directly. Yeah, so that's the power of using the filters to gain in some of the properties, and it will help you in the editings. And lastly, we've talked about how to append media into the timeline. Okay, so we can bring in different kind of media using this plus and minus sign, and you can take back media for using this and bring in media using this feature as well into the timeline. Okay, so these are very, very easy features, and with this control you can move between markers. Okay, you can move from one marker to the next directly very easily with this. All right, so over here you'll be able to check out your history. You can see all the things that you've done through these editings, and you can be able to adjust accordingly, and you can move back and forth in terms of the editings. Okay, so feel free to go ahead and explore some of the piece of editing techniques that we've shared in this class, and try to see how you can be able to apply them to your own footage. Over here, like I've explained, you can zoom in and out of the videos that you have within the timeline, or you can zoom out, or you can zoom to fit, so you have everything filled up in the timeline. So to add text, there are actually two methods. The first one is you could come to the open order over here. You could just click, you'll see text over here. And the second one is you could come to the filter. Okay, filters. Over here, you'll be able to be brought in here. You'll be able to type in text. For example, you can see it over here. Text, simple text or rich text. This is another way to add it. But for this tutorial, we're going to add using this method. So you can come to the open order and you can just go ahead and type in text. And you have the option to define the type of text that you want to add. You could add a text from the preset over here if you have saved any as a preset, but in our own case, I want to add a transparent background text. Okay, I want to add a text with a transparent background, and I could just type in anything. All right, and I can save this as I so wish. If you want to save it, you can just go ahead and click on open to kickstart the editing, or you can just add to the timeline directly. If you can't see it, you can always add on the timeline. You can see it over here added already on the timeline, and it has a transparent background. You can see just like so. Hello and welcome to my channel. So this is a text. In case if you don't have it, you can still come over here, right click here, and you come to track operations and just click on add track, and it's going to add a fresh video track for you. And then you can add a text over there, and you're free to rename it. If you want to rename, you can just rename this and call it my text. So this entire timeline, this entire track is going to be my text. Okay, so you're free to move the text around. You can move it around to any location, to any position of your choice. And you have a bunch of controls to edit this text. Once you select it, you can come over here. You can bold it if you want. You can select the entire text. You can bold, you can italize, you can underline, you can actually change the font of different types. There are different fonts, okay? So you can see you can change the styling, the family, and the type of font that you want. You can change the size as well from here. You can go ahead and just change the size, but I think the default size that I have here is doing a good job, so I don't need to change anything. I can just click on OK to this, and if you want, let's say I don't want to change it, okay, I can say OK to this. And if you want, you can change the text color from here. You can just click and navigate around and change the color accordingly. But under this video, I think the white color is doing a good job, so no need for me to change anything. So I say OK to this and still select. You have a range of options. You can lift, you can center, you can change the alignment to the left, right, center, and you can increase or decrease the indenting from here. Okay, so you have quite a lot of controls over this, and you can on your own navigate to this dot, and you can move the text a bit downwards, or you can move it to the sides or even top if you want, but in this case let's have it down here. So you can extend the length of how long do you want this particular text to last on your track or within the timeline. You can just go ahead and extend it accordingly, so when you play you'll be able to see it easily. And then another way to make it easy for you to work with it, you can directly do Ctrl+C to copy this, and if you want to add another text from somewhere, you can just come over here and just still add the same text. You can just do Ctrl+V to paste, and then you can resize it by coming here and just trimming the edge to just define the exact point where you want it to appear. And you can just go ahead and just double click here and type in your message. For example, in my own case, I can just type, my name is Dr. Rashid, and I am the instructor of this course. All right, so you can see my name is Dr. Rashid and I'm the instructor of this course. Let's just bring it up a little and we can be able to see what we are talking about. So in cases when you want to, you can go over here and you can still come back and have a preview when you play. All right, so you can see hello and welcome to my channel, and then you have this one. Later we will learn how to add some effects and animations to make it look back a bit better. Okay, for you to connect between two different clips or even within the same clip, just to have a different view, just to keep the user or the viewer busy a little bit. So transitions are exceptional when it comes to beautifying or making videos to appear much more professional. So in this case, I have these videos, one connecting to this, and when we take a look at an example of the flow, we can see from here, from this one, the video just cut into this one. Okay, and when we look at the second one, let's take a look at how it's going to transit to the next video. It just simply cuts into it without any beauty, just cuts directly into it. But then when we want to add transitions in Shotcut, it is done in a very different way compared to other software. So you can just select a clip that you want to add a transition to and just drag it a little bit. So you just quickly cross on the next clip to it. So you can see we just inserted it into the other clip a little bit. If you want, you can go as far as you want, but then let's release it. And this is now a transition that's been added. Now the default is a fading. So let's take a look at the default transition that it has just appeared. So you can see it just fades into the next video. And if you don't want the fade in, you can just right click on the transition and you can come to properties over here. Now you have a bunch of transitions, different kind of effects that we have. The default, like I said earlier on, sorry, it is dissolve, not fade in, it's dissolve. And you can have cut, which is the one we have earlier on. And you can have bar horizontal, bar vertical if you want, and you'll be able to see the preview of that effect that you're going to have from here. That's one good thing about Shotcut. When you play, you'll be able to see the transition, how it's going to happen in the main thing. And you can have bar horizontal. I think this is also good. Bar door horizontal, this one, bar door vertical, this one opens vertical. I think I kind of like this one. So we can play around with the softness of the edges. And if you like, you can invert the wipe. Right now it is horizontal. You can invert it and you still be able to preview. It's now opening instead of closing as it were before. When you click here, it's now closing in. You can make it invert it so that it closes out directly. It just kind of opens directly like a door. And then you can increase the softness. I think 20% is good. And then you can do the same on audio. Even you can insert crossfade. So let's say we go with this one on this particular transition that we just added. And so let's have a preview of it in the timeline as well from the canvas. So you can move your playhead and let's try to play. They are moving and you can see the transition. I think this is kind of nice and perfect. But the only thing is you need to move your clip a little bit anytime you have to create a transition. So let's say we have this one, we just move it and you can see we just created another transition. And then we are free to now select and go up here and we can add, there are a bunch of them, okay? Box bottom right, you can see this one, bottom left, you can see this one, box right center, we can have this one, or clock type. I think this is also equally fantastic. But then we can do burn V up. I kind of like this, so let's select that and then let's have a preview also of what it is going to do. So you can see this is the burn V up, okay? So we can add different ones. On this one, transiting in between these clips, let's see how it's going to cut in also in between. So it just cuts into this one, not so good. So you can select matrix waterfall, you can see, or you can have this matrix waterfall vertical, and then we can have this one. Or you can have diagonals top left, different types. So you can select this one. Let's say we have this, but then we've not created the transition. So we can just drag in and you just create that transition. So you can select, and we can use anyone. So let's say I'll go with this bando vertical. So let's play it one more time to be able to see. All right, so just quickly transit to the next one. So you get the message. It's very, very simple and it's interesting to apply transitions of different types within Shotcut. So just go ahead and try it with your own video clip and just play around with it and see which one is best for you. Again, you can always preview it from here. So to drag a footage into the timeline, again, you can select and drag and drop, or we can do the in point and out point like we've explained. When you double click, you'll be able to see a preview over it and you can define the in point and the out point. For example, we define this as the in point by hitting on the letter I, and then we can move within the clip maybe to somewhere around here where we can see his face, and we can just hit on the out point and define this as the out point. And then we could drag and drop this into our timeline. Okay, so we can move with playhead, so we'll be able to see clearly their faces. All right, so this is okay. I think at this point we can see everybody's face, including this guy. All right, so what we are going to do is, this is kind of flat. Okay, this is a bit flat without any color. All right, so all you need is just to select, and to add color in Shotcut, it has a different method, not like in other software. So it's still under the filters. We can still come to filters over here, or here you can just click on filters. Now you have to add a number of filters. What I do is I do add about 4 filters directly. So I add them, then I go into each and every one of them and I edit accordingly. So the first filter that I used to add by just hitting on that plus sign is the white balance. Okay, so you can just search for white balance directly over here. So you can see it over here, white balance. And you can see it's been added, and these are the controls that you can add directly if you want. You can on your own manually increase or decrease the value, and you'll be able to see the impact on the video clip. But usually you can reset from here. And what I usually do, I usually use the color picker, and then you can choose a neutral color. Just picking somewhere that's a bit neutral, and you can just hit on that particular place. So let's use the color picker. Once you just hit, you can select anywhere that is a bit neutral. So let's say this gray color is a bit neutral and it's distributed equally along the clip. So let's select somewhere here, and you can see it has given us a little bit of a touch to the image, to the video, even though it's not so much, but it has given us that little bit of touch. You are free to on your own increase or decrease the color temperature from here, which mostly I don't do. So I just use the color picker just to give that a little bit of a touch. If you want to see the before and after, you can come here and just click on this. You can see this is the before and this is the after. It's just a little bit. So the next filter or the next feature that I used to add is the contrast. Okay, I do add the contrast. I can just hit and come and search for contrast, and you'll be able to see it over here, contrast. So as you select, you can see the contrast control over here. And what I usually do, I keep increasing the contrast to see how it is going to have effect on my video. You can see up to 55, 60. I think sometimes I take it up to 67, and you can see the clarity. It is becoming very, very clear. All right. So as you move, I think it is peaking. So about 62.61, 62, I think is good. We can be able to see the before and the after as well. So it has given us a little bit of a contrast to the image. All right. You can always reset also over here if you're interested. Now, the next feature that I used to add is I do add brightness. So I can just select over here and just add brightness just like so. You can see the control also over here. So what I usually do, I used to reduce the brightness a little bit to maybe 90, 97, 97, 98. Just a little bit of a drop of the brightness is okay. So we don't have too much of the highlights. Okay. So the next one is I do add the color grading. So you can search for grading over here. So you can see color grading. You can just add it directly, and then it will bring you over to these wheels. These are color grading wheels. This is the shadows, this is the midtones that talks about the gamma or the skin tone, and then we have the highlights, gains over here, and we have the wheels over here, and then we have the control. Also you can increase and decrease the control from these sliders. Okay, each one has its own slider. So what I usually do is the shadows, I do move it a little bit to this side, so we can have a little bit of coloration into it. You just add a little bit of saturation, a bit of color into it, and you can see at this point is a bit popping out. You can be able to see it. And then we have the midtones that has to do with the skin color. So we just play around with it a little bit. So don't put it too much, a little bit of it, and you have that little bit of touch. All right, a little is quite fantastic. So I think at this point it's okay. And then we have the highlights. Highlights is generally going to increase the overall highlights of the highlights, the whiteness or the brightness in the image. Okay, so in each case you can undo from here if you don't want what you see, and I think a little bit of a touch here is okay. I'm not actually a fan of these wheels. I don't so much like them. I prefer the sliders. Okay, so let's say at this point we can play around with the sliders. We can bring this down a bit. Okay, and you can see the shadows, the color is now very clear in the image. And then we can use this one in the midtones to raise it up a bit. All right. You can play around with it on your own to be able to see how the coloration is going to pop up very clear. So, and it's case dependent, depending on the kind of video you are editing. And I think this is good. So the last one is we have these highlights. If you like, you can take it up a little bit and you'll be able to see some changes. Yeah, I think this is too much. So let's reduce. Yeah, this is good. This is good. I think this has shown everything that we're looking out for. So you can see, let's have the before in the entire thing. You can see the before. This is the before. Okay, you can see it. And then let's look at the after. All right, so when we have everything, I think the difference is quite clear. We can see the coloration and everything is now very clear. So it all boils down to you, what kind of image or what kind of video you have that you're trying to edit. If you want to see the color graph, okay, the histogram, so you'll be able to understand what is happening. You can always check from the editing to come back to the color tab over here, and you'll be able to see all of the coloration. I don't usually use most of them, but you can be able to see exactly which of the colors is speaking and which one is not. Sometimes your color is deceptive, you can be deceived easily. And if you look at this, the color has to be within, you can try to neutralize and make them appear within these three lines so they don't peak too much and they don't come down too much. So these are the RGB color of features. This is the luma, the red, the green, and the blue coloration. You'll be able to observe as you are editing directly. So this is very important to keep an eye into the vectors. Okay, so you'll be able to understand how it works. So B-rolls, like I've explained in the last class, are very important when you are trying to transit between two concepts or ideas. Maybe you are explaining something, tutorial video, and then you want to showcase something, maybe with an image or a video. So all you need, for example, in this case, if you have this video playing, you can as well at any given point run something on top of it, something like a picture-in-picture, or you can just make it a full screen, something video or image. So assuming I want to add this video clip, I can just drag it and drop it. Now, if I want, I can define the areas that I want to be playing on top of this video. It's on top of this video. If you don't have a track on this video, you can always come here and just right click, come to track operations and come to add video track. I need a video track. So you can see right now I've added this. And alternatively, I can just go ahead and define the areas that I want to be on, the videos to be on. I can come, maybe I want it up to this point. I can come to the edge over here. I can just trim up to this point, this moment. All right. And if I want again, I can trim also from this side. So I can have the exact point where I want defined. So this is for video. Okay, while I'm explaining, a video comes in. Okay, then it goes back and I continue with my explanation. Okay, that's a good one. Another way to do it, you can have much controls over here as well. You can bring in a filter called the transform or the position and size filter. So you can come to filters over here, or you can click it directly from here. You can come to the plus sign and you can search for size, position, and rotate. You can drag and drop. You can just select it and it's going to be added as a filter into this clip that you've selected. So you have the option to zoom in if you want to zoom into a particular point, you want to showcase a particular point, and you can play around with the other features like rotation. You want to rotate it to an angle, or you want to play around with the position. You can see you can position it on your own, or you can manually select from here and you can move it to that particular point that you are trying to move. Okay, and you can rotate like I said, and you can play around with the size mode from here. Sizing, you can increase the sizing manually from here, and you can add keyframes again to all of these features, or you can undo or reset everything from the scratch. Okay, and then you can play around with the background also if you want to add a background and use the color filter, or you want to load keyframes, so you can do all that from here. Now let's say we have added, and this is what we want to show on the timeline. We want to just showcase the flow of this fish. All right, so that's about a video, adding a video as a B-roll. We can add an image also as a B-roll using the same way. So you can come back to the playlist and we can select to add an image. All right, so let's select this image and just drag and drop it in the timeline. So you can select as well, you can extend or reduce the length of it on the timeline, just like we have explained in the video section. So you can come over here and you can just play it to have a preview. Okay, this moves in and out. But if you notice, this is not complete. This doesn't fill up the entire screen. So we can select and we can add the same filter. So you can come to filters while selecting the same clip. You can just come over here, add in the size and position and rotate, and you can be able to zoom in from here, not the rotate button. So we can undo here. We can zoom in, so we have it fill up the entire screen. All right, so you can see now we have it filled up the entire screen. And if you like, you can manually on your own select and resize it until you have it fitted into the screen. So just like something like this. So I think this is okay. So you can go back and play it. All right, So you can play while maybe you're explaining about these guys, then this comes in and then it goes out to the main video and then you can continue to explain. So usually this is the A roll and this is the B roll that we added. Okay, so B rolls are just supplementary videos that you can just add on top of a particular clip so you can demonstrate a particular concept. All right. So they become very much interesting when you add some animations to them. So the video that you've added, you can add animations and some behaviors to it so that it behaves differently and it kind of adds some motions to it. So it becomes very interesting. Now to add audio, all you need is just to add it from the playlist. To be on the playlist, you can come to open a file over here and just navigate to wherever you have your audio track. Okay, I have it here and I can select all of them and click on open and it's just going to open into the playlist and you can be able to see or hear the preview. This is just background music that I want to add to my track. And at any time, you have to pay attention to when you are playing an audio. You pay attention to the audio meter over here. If you don't see it, you can always come over here to peak meter. You can enable or disable it and you'll be able to hear the peak or the volume level you can hear from here. So the next thing is to drag and drop a particular audio into the timeline. So to drag and drop, you can do it in the same way we used to do, either the selecting the in and out point. For example, you can define the in point here. And you can move to a particular point, maybe here, and define this as the out point. And you can drag this and drop into the timeline. Okay, when we drag and drop right now, we can see it is going to override the video clip that we have. That's because we don't have an extra clip, audio clip within the timeline. So let me undo this and let's double click here. Let's pause it and then let's say we define this as an in point and then we can define this point as an out point. So we've defined the exact location where we want within this background music. So what we need to do is to come down here to the video track. We can just right click anywhere and come to track operations. We can add audio track directly from here. We can click and we can see we've now added an audio track. Again, if you're interested, you can double click here and rename it. So let's call this audio, or we can call it background music or the about. And you have this much control that you can mute or unmute it and you can lock or unlock editings within this directly if you're interested. Now to drag and drop, like again, we select the same. So you can see it's still holding the in point and out point that we've defined. So we can just drag it and drop it onto the audio track that we've just created. So you can see we just drop it and this is our audio now. We can be able to see the audio profile. As you can see, it's equally distributed across, and when you play, you'll be able to hear a preview of the background music from here. All right, and you can be able to see the color picker, the peak meter over here, also to detect whether you have too much or too low the volume. You can play around with it. Now you can edit audios just like the way you edit video within Shotcut. So you can create cuts at any given point, even with the letter S. And you can see you've now created two, you've splitted this track into two. But this is not the point I want to create the split. I want to create it here because my video ends around here. So we can just move it here. And I can just create the split from here with the letter S. And I can select this section and delete it directly. All right. So what you need is sometimes I need to add in the fade in and fade out so that the audio or the background music can appear a bit professional. When you have a fade in, it starts from 0 and then increases, rises to 100. And then when it is going to fade out, it starts from 0 and then fades out to 100. It's a bit needful. It becomes handy when you are trying to create professional looking videos. So let's add in a fade in and fade out. So select the audio and come to the filters as usual, or you can come to filters from here. You can come to the plus sign, you can add the plus sign, and then you can look for fade in audio, which is what we have here. If you can't see it, you can still search for it on the search bar over here. So you select fade in audio and it's going to be added as a filter. Now this is the control, how much duration. You can see the default is about 1 second. Okay, it has added 1 second of fade in from the clip. You're free to add it with this plus sign. You can go ahead and add it to however you want it. And you can see it is increasing at the bottom here. All right, so this is fade in. You can still come to the plus sign and still add fade out audio. Okay, so you can select fade out audio and you can still add, you can see it has added the fade out audio. You can increase the direction also using this same plus sign. So you can keep increasing, and you can see it is increasing. And in each case, the audio can start playing from 0 and then it will move to 100 like I've explained earlier, and from 100 down to 0 in the fade out. So this you can always reset to default if you want using this feature, or you can save this as a preset. So anytime you're going to add a fade in or a fade out, you can still add from the preset. No need for you to keep increasing or decreasing the values accordingly. Now, another feature that we need to add to the audio is the volume, which you can add from the filter as well. So you can come to the plus sign and just search for volume. Okay, so you can see it here, volume/gain, this one. So you can select, and right now you can see you have this much control as regards the volume level. You can increase it if you want, and you could decrease it also if you are interested in decreasing. So as you are decreasing, maybe when you try to play, you'll be able to see from the filler, the peak meter, you can be able to see. You can see the volume is kind of too low. You can increase it to something a bit higher so it can become a bit audible. So you can increase, and as you're increasing, you can be able to see it from the peak meter also increasing. So let's try to play. And I think this is quite good. So basically, this is how to add in the volume level and reduce the volume level using the filters, okay? And if you want to, you can access the audio mode or audio panel from here, from the editing. You can come to the audio section over here, and you can be able to play around with some of these features, like you can increase or decrease the audio loudness and so on. There are other features over here which you can play around with if you're interested. The audio waveform, you'll be able to see the audio spectrum, you'll be able to see and play around with some of those things. But in most cases, I prefer to do from the filters and just add each and every one of the controls that I'm looking out for, and I can just use it directly on my video clips. So in a nutshell, this is kind of, so you can always come back to the editing mode and continue playing around with the video clips, okay? So let's mute this audio for this moment so that we don't have any disruptions. Okay, so let's start with a logo. I want to animate a logo in here. So we can go ahead and add in a logo. We can add it from here. For example, I can come to my desktop. I could just search for it. I think I have a small logo here that we can easily animate. All right, this one. And I could just select it and we can easily drag and drop it into the timeline. All right, so let's say we drag and drop this into the timeline. We drag and drop this over here, and we can be able to resize it. The first way to do it, we can select this and come back to filters over here, and we can just add in size. You can search for size, or you can see size, position, and rotate. You can select, and we can come to the edge over here and just drag it so it becomes a little bit smaller. So this is it, and we can move it across to specify any position of our choice. Maybe we want it to be at the top here. And then we can be able to add keyframes to this. If you like, you can specify how long you want it to be on the timeline by just dragging and moving across. So maybe I want it to stay this much long. And then still while selecting the image, I can come over here. We can add different kind of presets. You can see slide out right. We can add this on our image. It's going to slide out right, or you can add it to slide out left. Still resizing. Let's make it quite small so that, let's say, so this is slide out right. So let's make it a bit smaller. All right, so let's add another effect to this. Let's say size, still on size, and then we can add another preset, slide in from the top. So let's go back and play this. So we can be able to see it slides in from the top and then slides out from the right, directly like that. All right, so that is the impact of adding keyframes or maybe presets from the presets. We have effects that we've added from presets. And if you want to add directly, you want to animate maybe a text. This is an image we've just animated. We want to add a text, animate a text. Let's try this on a very simple video so we can come back to playlist. And let's add a very simple video that I want to use to animate a text on so we can understand what we're trying to do. Maybe we can add some keyframes as well. So we'll come back to shortcuts and you can go still to this media, and we can come to videos. We have this card drift I have just downloaded, so we can see it's added. All right, so we can say this is our card drift, and let's say we are dragging everything and dropping into the timeline just like so, and we want to look into this card drift and maybe animate some text. Let's separate the audio from the video so we can detach the audio, and then on our own we can see now the audio is muted because the whole of this track is muted. And I want to play and showcase something that maybe a winner is going to emerge from here. For example, when you play this, you can see that there is actually a winner. So let's go back here and insert our text at the beginning, and then maybe keyframe it, and then as the cars are coming, so we identify the winner. So we can come over to add a text like we've explained. We can come to text over here, or we can come to still the same filters. We can come to filters while still selecting the video that we want to add, the drift video. We can come to filters over here. We can come over here and say text, and we can see simple text. We can just select this, and then we can now double click and start writing. So for example, we want to write something like the winner here. All right, so we can resize this by coming over here and resizing it directly, or we can resize on our own from here. We can drag so we can have it resized. You can change the coloration if you are interested, but then I think this is okay. All right, so let's make it quite smaller, and then let's move it to this point. Let's drag it here to this point, make it smaller. All right, so what we are going to do is we're going to add keyframes to this particular video. So what we need this particular text, so we can add a keyframe from here. We can just click on this and it's going to add a keyframe, or we can come to the keyframes tab over here so we can start adding keyframes. So we can increase this sizing, so we can zoom this actually so we can be able to see clearly. Let's zoom to fit everything. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, from this point. So anyone that gets here is the winner. So we're going to add in keyframes. So let's delete this keyframe. Okay, back to keyframes. From timeline, select the video. From timeline, we go to keyframes, and we can start from the beginning. All right, so let's say from here, we can play the video. Okay, until maybe here. Let's say from until here, while still having the keyframe selected. We can move this text. All right, we can move it here. Can select and move it here. Maybe increase the sizing a little bit, make it bigger. So let's make this a bit bigger here, so the winner is emerging, and then we can still play the video up to here, maybe let's say up to this point, and then we can still move the winner also to this point. Okay, this is the winner, and then we can play the video one more time up to here, for example. All right, up to here, as it is just about going out. All right, so we can still move the winner up to this point, maybe even make it bigger. All right, so we can make it bigger up to this point, and then maybe after here we can have the text also move out directly, so it just moves out of it. Okay, so let's try to play the preview so we can have a preview of what we just created with these keyframes. So when the car starts, you can see the winner is arriving, and you can see it is showing up to the end, so that guy is going to be the winner. And even at this point, if you like, you can still identify that he is still the winner if you're interested. So I think you get the message, how we keep keyframing the text. Okay, that's how to actually add keyframes and even behaviors to the text. You can do that manually on your own if you want. You can still come back to the timeline and you can play around with the text keyframes however you want it. maybe from here you can just come over here and add in a text, and you can play around with it however you want it. For example, we can say that we have another text. Let's click on this, and then we add another text, and then we can call it welcome. For example, welcome. We don't change anything. I have it simple, and I can just add it to the timeline just like so, and it's going to be added. So this is our text, welcome. If you want to have other features or you want to edit other features, you can always play around with it. Like we've explained, you can play around with the sizing, the coloration, the font style, the outline color, the background color. You can do all that from here, and you can select the text and play around with most of those features. So if you want to add in keyframes or you want to animate this very text, you can also do that from here. You can come over here and you can outline, or you can keyframe the position. All right, you can keyframe the position, and you can see the text. You just come into this text place, but under the keyframes, you can say at this point it should start here. All right, and then it should move. At this point, you want it to come in, and at this point, you want it to kind of move in. So let's say we reset the position. All right, so we want it to move in and stay here. At this point, I want it to stay here. And then maybe when we move to this point, we can add another keyframe, and that keyframe is going to be for the text to move out. Okay, to move out of the canvas directly. So let's try to play one more time so we'll be able to see the preview of what we've just created. Okay, so it kind of comes in directly and then it goes out directly. Okay, so that's the idea. You can play around with it however you want it. If you want it to stop at this point, maybe to maintain the same position, you can still do that if you're interested. Okay, but then basically this is how to add in effects, maybe animations to your text and images and keyframe in general. This is how to keyframe at different points, maybe a different point within your clips. But maybe when we come back here, I may show you that maybe you can add keyframes also to showcase one of these kids, maybe to show his face clearly. Let's say we could come over here. Maybe let's say at this point, I want to show this guy's face very clearly. This small one, this one, I want to zoom into him and then just zoom out. So we can click on keyframe and we can assign the keyframe from that moment. So let's say we're keyframing the video. All right, so from the timeline, of course, we've selected this video, this one, because this is one we're keyframing. So we can come to the keyframe and we can now see we can zoom to fit. Let's zoom everything to fit. And then from this moment, it maintains that same position, but then I want to add a keyframe to it. So we can add in the sizing, position, and rotate here. And then we can zoom in. So let's say at this moment it is the same up to this point. It's the same also, but then I want it to remain here. So we can just add a keyframe. I want it to remain like this. And then maybe from this point, so this is size and position, this is a rotation keyframe. I want it from this point to zoom into this guy's face, this one. So I can manually on my own zoom in. All right. So I want to show this small boy's face, so I just move it. So I just move it to this point, so we'll be able to see his face clearly. All right, so we can now see his face very clearly. I want this to continue, maybe up to this point. All right, up to this point, I add another keyframe, but I want the face to remain where it is, so I can just add another keyframe here. All right, so I want to maybe keep it like that. Okay, keep the position like that. And then from this point, I want it to go back to the position where it was. All right, so from at this point, I want it to go back to where it was. So I can just hit on this reset button and reset everything. So we can have everything back to the normal. So when you want to play this, you can take the playhead to the beginning. And let's try it. So pay attention to the zooming in. It zooms in to the face of the boy and then stays on it. And then it zooms out. You can see. so it zooms out to the beginning. So that's the idea of keyframes. You can add it as you so wish. You just keep adding them across within the clips. You can add at any given point, you can add a keyframe. You can see the movement. You can see the zooming in is what is the most important, and then the staying on at the zoomed point, and then the zooming out is what we are kind of interested in. All right, so I hope you get this idea, the concept of what we are trying to explain. So to speed up a clip, you have to select that particular clip that you're interested in speeding up or slowing down. For example, over here, when you try to play this, let's have a preview of what this video is all about. They just enter the sea and look at the speed they are moving on. So I'm going to increase this speed. So all you need is, let's press pause or stop. All right, click on the clip. You can come to properties. Alternatively, you can still select the clip and come to properties over here. So you can see speed over here, and by default it is set to 1.0. If you want to speed it up, you can change this value from 1.0 to maybe, let's say, 1.5, and you can see that by selecting 1.5, you can see that the length of the clip has been shortened, which means it's going to move a bit faster. So let's try to have another preview and let's see how fast they are going to go. So you can see they are pretty fast, and even in the swimming they are pretty fast. Okay, so if you want to lengthen it or put it in slow motion, then you have to put something less than 1. So if you put something less than 1, it's going to go in slow motion. So let's give it something like 0.5, and let's see how it is going to increase the length of the clip. You can see right now the length of the clip has been increased, and when we try to play, you will see that they are in slow motion now. Now you can see they enter in slow motion and they continue to move in slow motion. So basically, this is how to play around with your clip to extend, to make it move faster or in slow motion as you so wish. Now to record a video or a voiceover, all you need is to come to the top left over here and just click on this open other, and just click on it, and you can come down here and you'll be able to see audio/video device. So you can just click on this. Now over here, you're free to select which kind of microphone you're going to use, the video input device. In this case, I'm going to use my C922 webcam, and the audio device, I'm going to use my Rode NT USB. All right, just for this demonstration, I'll use my Rode NT USB, so I can just go ahead and click on open. And once you click on open, you'll be able to see the preview. Okay, from here you'll be able to see the preview. So let's say I'm not going to use this Rode NT USB because it is echoing. All right, so once you open, you'll be able to see the preview of what you have on your screen, and then you'll be able to select again the video input device and the audio input device. Let's say I'm going to use my MacBook for now, and then the next thing is, if you want to save, for you to confirm that the audio input is working, you can be able to see from the audio meter over here. Right, so to start recording, you can come all the way to the export button, press the export button. Now, if you want to record an MP3 file, which is the voiceover, you can come over here and select MP3. But then if you want to record a video, you have to come over here and select between these, either .h.264 baseline or high profile or the main profile. So for this tutorial, I'm going to go with the base profile. Okay, so you can just select this and you come over here and say capture file. All right, so now it is going to capture. So let's give video a name. Okay, so let's say this is trial 1. For example, this is just trial 1, and you define the location where you intend to save it. Now, once you press on this save, it's going to start recording your screen. It's going to start recording your camera and the audio. So let's try this. All right, so hello and welcome to my channel. This is just a demonstration of how to use Shotcut software to record my webcam and the voiceover. All right, so this is just a test. So once you're done, you can come down here and say stop capture. And once you click on stop capture, you now be able to see a sample of the video you've just recorded. All right, so this is the video that we've just recorded. You'll be able to see, yeah, this is it. So we can pause over here, and then we can come down here. If you like, you can come over here and just right click. You can create a new, come to track operations and add new video track. So you can just add new video track, and then over here you can come down. All right, so you have a new video track. Let's try to take this up a little bit. Right, so you have a new video track over here. You're free to rename it. Maybe let's call this recording, and then you can click out. Now this recording, you'll be able to see it in the recent over here. You can see trial 1, so you can click and you can drag and drop it here. Now after creating the new recording, new track, you call it recording, you can just drag this and drop it into the timeline just like so. So now you have your video and the audio attached to it. Okay, so you can play a preview to have it. So this is just a demonstration of how to record your camera and the voiceover using Shotcut. And then you can go ahead and play around with this. You can do all sort of editings to make sure you can detach the audio and the video as well. You can detach them and do so many things with this. So let's say I have these two clips, this one with the green screen and this one without a green screen. So I want to drag and drop this, my video of a cat with the green screen. I can play so you can be able to see what I'm talking about. This cat has a green screen behind it, and I want to use shortcuts to remove the green screen and even insert a blank another image behind it, so it has that as its own background. So I can drag this image of a room, I can just put it here. I can extend it from both axes. Okay, I can just drag and extend this. If I like, I can move it here, and then I can come to the edge over here and extend, so it covers the entire length of the clip. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is to come to filters from here. All right, and then you can come to the plus sign while still selecting this image. So while selecting this video, you can come to this plus sign from filters, and then you can come to search for chroma key. Okay, chroma, just like that, chroma, and you can see chroma key symbol. This one, you can just select it, and with just that simple selection, you can see that the video background has been removed totally, and it's been replaced with the background of the image that we have behind it. Okay, so you can see at this point it does a good job, but you can play around with the intensity of the distance. You can just move away, and you can see it is now becoming much more clearer and clearer. So you have to be very careful with the increment, because you don't have to touch the subject. Okay, so you have the subject clearly, and right now we can, or alternatively you can use the color picker over here, and you can pick the exact place if it is not fully green. Sometimes you can pick another place and it's going to give you a better result. At any given point, you can always reset this from here. You can set reset directly. All right, so let's have a look at what we are talking about right now. We've removed the green screen of this cat and we replace it with a background. You can see I think it does a good job, because the cat right now appears as if it is inside this room. Okay, so this is just the idea. You can remove background from a video and from an image as well using Shotcut. So it's just a very simple tutorial. You can find application in whatever video or image that you have, you're trying to remove the background of it. Okay, I think this. So let's start by creating a new project. For example, you can come over here, you can come to file and you can say new over here. So you can just say no need to save this. You can create a fresh image. If you remember, we have to define the location of where we are going to save our folders. For example, here we are going to save it in this Shotcut tutorial. We select this location, and then we have to give our project a name. So let's call it complete video editing tutorial. Okay, so this is just a demonstration. So you click on start. Now this is now a brand new page. You can see complete video editing tutorial. So you can always come back to the filters over here. And the next thing is we're going to import some footage where we're going to do the basic editings with. So you can come to file over here, and you can just navigate to wherever you have those media saved. For example, I have these videos. I can just select, I can hold the shift key and hold on the shift key, and you can just select and everything, and you can just open here to import it into the media. You have imported all of the video footage into the media just like so. And if you want to add other media also, you can just go ahead. Let's stop this. You can just go ahead and maybe most likely come down here. Let's say we can add the audios as well. So we can come over go to media, and then we can add the images. All right, so we select images and we can import them. All right, so we've imported all of them. Next is we can import audio that we may want to use through the tutorial. So let's go back to open file and go to media. Over here, do I have some audios? I don't have. All right, so let's check this CapCut. Let's check CapCut. I have some audio footage over here, so you can select this and open them directly. So we have our videos, audios, and images that we may need throughout this sample video editing. All right, so let's stop this. So the next thing is to drag and drop the footage into the timeline. Like we've explained, you have two ways to do it. The first one is you can double click on any clip and you'll be able to define the in and out point from this canvas. So let's say we define the in point at this moment. We can just click here. Let's say this is an in point up to the point when they've just entered the water. Let's see here. Let's see here. So we can see out point. And then we can drag this and drop into the timeline. Okay, so we have this our video footage imported, this section imported. Then we want to capture maybe some section while they are still swimming. So still go back to this, and maybe we still want to capture some section. Okay, this one, we want to capture this section, and then maybe we can move up to this point before they start to this point. So we can just drag this and drop also this another section. So we may want to add, go back, double click, and I want to capture this section. Here, I want to capture here. All right, now they are swimming, holding their hands. We can define this as input, and maybe up to somewhere around here where they see the wonders behind the sea. So let's see output, and then drag and drop this. Okay, so we have these things. Now the next thing is we can add other things, like we can drag and drop this on our own if you like. All right, this one. Okay, so we didn't enable that magnet icon, so it is entering. So that snap feature is not there. So we can see right now it's been enabled, so we don't have to have that small cut. So let's undo this. All right, so with this enabled, let's undo this. With this enabled, you can easily snap. Okay, get it snapped. All right, so this is it. So we can import more. So let's say, well, at this point I want to import more. So let's say we select this and this and then move them behind, because this one is selected. So let's move this behind, and let's try to import one more. Let's say we import this guy and put it here. All right, and this one, it might be too long, so I can kind of create a split here. Just create a split and select and delete this section. We can select this holding down the shift key, and then we can move them closer. All right, so next is I want to add a new track. I want to add come to track operations, video track. So I want to add a b-roll. So I want to add this image. You can just drag and drop it. So what this means is when these guys are coming in, when they are coming in, let's see, when they come in, so they could see this guy was there, and you can see it's not filling up the screen. So we have to add a filter to this particular image. So we can add a filter over here. We can see size, and we can see it over here, size, position, and rotate. And then on your own, you can come to the edges and drag so it fills up the entire location. And you can drag also from this axis. So we have everything filled up. Or on your own, you can use this zoom feature to just zoom in. So we can say it can stay up to this point, then it quickly gets to this one. So when they come in, you can see they come in and then they meet this guy. And they want to add a keyframe on this as well, if you're interested. But at this moment, we can just leave it. Then they start swimming and then they meet this wonders. So I want to connect this to this. And let's zoom out a little bit. All right, so I want to connect this to this, but I want to create a transition. So select this, and we can see now that there's the crossfade transition. Okay, there's this little transition, but then this is not the kind of transition I want at this moment. You can see it transits here, but I don't want this transition. So we can select, come to properties, select, come to properties, and then we can come over here. I want to have this bar do diagonal, this one, and then let's have a preview of it. All right, yeah, this is fine. I think this is what I want. This one is swimming. Okay, it gets to this section, so we can just connect this one. Let's see the transition. Now, this cuts in. I don't want it to cut in, so let's create a very simple transition also in between. So we can select matrix neck. Let's see the preview. Okay, I think this is good. Matrix neck, I think this one is okay, so we can preview. All right, I think this is good. So when this one comes in, the last one, all right, so let's have one last transition added, diagonal top left. All right, this one is okay, so we have to shift this one a little bit to create that needed transition. So we have the, all right, so we have this one. All right, so we can see we have this, and then at the end of the video we can have a crossfade to just fade out. So let's add that filter. Over here we can come selecting this same video, but then we want to add a video fade out video, so we can just select, and we can see we've created that fade out. So let's play one more time. All right, so this fades out. Okay, so if you like, you can add fade in as well, but at this moment I don't need it. So the next thing is we come back to playlist. Let's add an audio or background music to this. So let's drag and drop this. Oh, when we drag and drop this, it's going to override this, so we have to undo. We have to come over here, right click, come to track operations and say add an audio track. So we can add an audio track. So now we can drag and drop this into the timeline. All right, and we can position them. We can come over here, we can create a cut if you're interested with the letter S. Okay, so we can see we've created the cut. We can delete this section. We can insert a fade in and fade out. Selecting the audio, we can come back to the filters. Okay, filters, and then we can add fade in audio, and you can see we've inserted it. And the same way we click on the plus sign, we can add fade out audio, and we've added our fade out. Now if you want to change the volume, again we can come to the filter, you can say volume, gain and volume, and you can see from here we can just easily reduce the volume however we want it. All right, so this becomes now a little bit complete. So we can still hear the background a little bit here. Okay, so we can increase the volume a little bit. So the next thing is we can learn how to add a text. We can just add some text over here. So as we have taught, to add a text, all you need is to come to this open other. You can see text over here. And let's say we just want to write welcome to Langkawi. Okay, Langkawi is an island that I have visited. So we can say add this to the timeline. So on your own, you can just define the location where you want it. Let's say we select everything and we can move everything to the right, and then we can bring in this text to the beginning here, but then we have to resize it. Okay, make it something smaller, and then we can bring it to the beginning here and paste it here. Okay, so we can on our own extend the length to this point. Okay, so we can see right now we have text welcome to Langkawi, but I want it to be at the center. Welcome to Langkawi. Now we can copy and paste this, and then we can change the location. We can resize this, we can select, and then we can call this the underwater adventure, and then we can come over here and paste in again. We can paste, and then we can change it and say enjoying the sea. All right, so you can see we have this, and if you want, you can bring it down, enjoying the sea view, and then we can come down here and probably and just add in something again. Let's paste the same text. If you want, you can still format it. You have all of these formatting features like we've explained. You can select, and we can come back, and you can come over here and just say thank you for watching. All right, so I'm bring this down. So I think this concludes everything. So we can just play to have a preview of what we have just created. This is just roughly created, but at least you get the idea. Just the whole idea is just to be able to demonstrate the concept of editing from scratch. Okay, so you can see now, welcome to Langkawi. All right. Okay. So it just dies out. Now the only thing that I think we didn't add is animations to the text, which we can always select, and we can come back here. You can see presets. We can click and we can say slide in, slide out, and we can add another one, slow zoom in. Okay, so let's say we try this and let's see what is going to happen. Okay, it zooms in and then it zooms out. So we can just now add different kind of animations to it. So select this image, this text, and then we can add from the slide in from top. Okay, let's say we add slide in from top, and then we add another one. So let's see, it's going to slide in from top using the preset, and then so only that you need to just play around with the features. Okay, maybe you can play around with the sizing as well. You can resize it to your liking. So assuming we like what we see in this video, this particular small video that we've created, to export it, you can come to the top here, this red button. You can just click on export, and you can just go ahead and select from the different presets properties over here. So right now you can select between all of these properties, but for YouTube and for most platforms, if you are interested, you can just come over here. You can select YouTube. If you want to do YouTube directly, all the settings are here. And if you want to do maybe for Instagram or something, you can select as well. You can just search for Instagram or any format. These are preset formats that they have over here. Okay, so you're free to just go ahead and select. But for this tutorial, for you to get the best quality, I recommend you use the H.264 baseline profile, which is the best quality, and it can work for YouTube and all other platforms that you are targeting. Okay, except if you want to export in 4K, which you can do also if you're interested. Okay, you can check and see the 4K if that's what you are targeting. All right, but for now we select H.264, which is the MP4 format. So you can go ahead and define the location by coming to export file over here. So you can define where do you want this video to go to. So let's say complete video tutorial. We've given it a name, and then we can define the location, the folder where I want it in Shotcut, and I want it to be here. Maybe you want to create another file. You can come here and say export. For example, I can create another file and call it export, and then I can come over here and say save. And once you say save, you'll be able to see the progress of it from over here. Now this is the exporting progress. Okay, you can see right now it's 46, 47, the percentage. You could be able to see when it concludes, you'll be able to know exactly when your video completes the export. So you can play to have a preview of what is played. Okay, so right now the video has been exported. You can come over here, you can check the location. You can see with this green tick, it's been exported complete. So you can go back to your folder and come over here, and you can just go ahead and check the export, and you see it over here, complete video tutorial. So you can see this is the video we've just created. Let's see.